Okay, welcome everyone to this week's community meeting. So, in case this is your very first community meeting and your very first week here at Scrimba, just want to tell you quickly what we are doing here. So, our goal at Scrimba is to give you the quality of a coding bootcamp at the price of a gym membership. And our flagship course, which is exactly that curriculum that we send all of our students through, is the front-end developer career path. However, in addition to that, we do a ton of different things. We do events every single day of the weekday, and we have a community over on Discord, which you hopefully have seen by now. And if you want to check out the cool stuff we're doing every single week, just click on or head over to scrimba.com/dashboard. And there you will see an overview over the latest activities. You'll see the live streams we do, the podcasts we share, the meetings we have, and basically everything. So it's the one source of truth for your learning experience at Scrimba. And this is the weekly office hour, which we have every Thursday. And the agenda varies a little bit from week to week. But very often we interview a success story and share a little bit of what's happened throughout the week on Scrimba. So today we are going to go through four points. First, we are going to talk a little bit about the karma system that we just launched over on Discord, which already is taking off and spurring a lot of activity, which is super cool. Leanne is going to talk about this week's live stream. And she's also going to talk about Hacktoberfest, which is very exciting and a way for all of you to get into open source development and really hone your skills through October. And then finally, I have David with me here today. David is the latest or one of the latest success stories here on Scrimba. He recently got a job in St. Louis, Missouri. He's 50 years old, and this is his third career. So it's super interesting to hear and inspiring to hear from David how he managed to do this. So, if you have any questions, either to me, Leanne, or just to the room in general, feel free to raise your hand with the emoji. You'll see it down on the reactions tab or on the reactions option down in the lower part of Zoom. And then raise your hand or simply ask it in a question. Ask a question in the chat. And actually, we already have a second question. Tamzid, one of the karma, or one of the students with the most karma right now. He's been helping people out today and yesterday in the help channels. He's asking something regarding the karma system, which I'll answer in a minute. But first, I just want to show everyone what the karma system actually is so that they have the context of the question you're asking, Tamzid. So let me grab hold of the karma system channel and yet again share my screen. So on Scrimba, if you haven't been on the Discord channel, you should definitely check it out because Discord is one of the most important things of the Scrimba experience. It's a place to get to know your colleagues, or no, sorry, not colleagues, but your classmates, get help and explore events, ask questions, whatever, basically. Just be a support for you as you're sitting home alone, trying to learn how to code, feeling a bit lonesome. And one thing with this community, perhaps the most important thing, is these coding help channels, which you can see on the left-hand side. And that is where you go when you have a question about React, JavaScript, CSS, or whatever technical subject, and ask it. And then our goal has been to create a community where people help each other. However, there's not been, or they have been active, these help channels, but there's often went like many hours from the time someone asks a question until they get a reply, which is a bit unfortunate because when you are frustrated and don't understand and you struggle to understand something when you're coding, like you want to reply immediately. So what we built was this karma system where now if you answer something in the help channels, people are able to add these purple hearts. And what that gives, it gives you karma. So if I now type leaderboard here, That's a bot command. Takes a little time. Ooh, boom. There we can see the leaderboard. Talita and Tamzid are first, second place, Mark on third, and you can see their points. And the deal is, these points are meant to be some kind of like a currency on Scrimba in which you can exchange things. So they should be valuable for you. And we haven't really figured out what you should get in the end for this. Sorry. But we have, just for the sake of this MVP, decided that if you get to 250 points, you will get a Scrimba hoodie. We'll send it to you. So that brings me to Tamzid's question, which was, do you get a second hoodie when you reach 500? I think, unfortunately, to be mindful about our budgets, Tamzid, we won't be giving out a second hoodie when you reach 500. We'll rather find some other way of giving a prize to people who reach 500 points. Sorry about that. But we'll send you that first one when you get to 250. And there are plenty of ways we can do this. We can give people roles. We can give people exposure in the community. We could give people discounts on their subscription. There's just so many cool things we could do. And we're now in the very beginning of experimenting with this. And we don't really know where we'll end up, to be completely honest. But over the next week, we're going to learn as much as possible from this. Basically, you can call it a prototype, and then maybe we'll roll it out in the entire community so that other types of help and interactions might be able to give you karma as well. For example, welcoming people, or just talking in general, or giving career advice in career chat. So yeah, that is basically long rant on our recent karma system. Let's see. Please create a backend channel so that I can participate, says Debjit. Yeah, that is an interesting request. We don't teach backend at Scrimba at this point, but we could have had a backend help channel regardless. Or what do you think, Michael and Leanne?
I have no strong feelings. I'm sure Michael will like it.
Yeah, I would love it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm open for it. Here we have an interesting question. Alex Chandelier, aren't you afraid of giving services for the sake of farming become a thing? I mean, answers qualities could go down for the sake of quantities. That's an interesting, like, could people just reply a bunch of random stuff just to get some purple hearts? What do you think, Leanne?
Oh, well, someone was saying that they wanted to set up 250 Discord users so they could get, yeah, they could basically get the hoodie straight away.
Yeah, that is, maybe the hoodie is a bit of a too strong motivation, because it's worth like $50+. So it's a substantial price. Maybe we should be a bit more cautious about the prices. Yeah. Anyway, I think that was all the questions we had in the chat about the karma system. If you have suggestions about how we should continue developing the karma system, please let us know in the general chat over at Discord. We are more than open for or open to hearing your suggestions. As there aren't any more questions or comments on the... Oh, no, sorry. Before I round up, Mitch gives an interesting opinion here that he thinks only moderators should give karma for good answers so it doesn't get abused. So that's an interesting one. Like, we have considered only letting pro users give karma to limit it in some way. No, it's a bit sad to kind of only listen to the people who can afford a pro subscription, but it would limit at least make sure that no one can create 250 accounts, and it would be expensive to say the least.
I mean, if they do, we don't mind that.
That's true. Yeah, Leanne says maybe only community heroes. Or maybe maybe we can make it so that the karma, actually, the more karma you have, the more karma you give when you like people. So if you've proven to the community that you are valuable, your purple hearts carries more weight. Yeah. Could work. Let's see. Anyway, thanks for the feedback in the chat. Let's just move on to the next step in the meeting, which is Julian, who has done a cool event this week on YouTube.
Yeah. Is that the wrong one again? This is so annoying.
It was a YouTube
We
video.
can hear you.
Oh, it was. Okay. So you can see this, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So here I am talking to Matthew Lane from Stripe about payment systems, basically, because a lot of people ask how to integrate a payment system, and I don't know the answer. So we decided to talk to a professional. Yeah, he talked to us about a lot of things, really, because one of my main questions was how easy is it to set up, and whether anyone can basically accept payments on their site. And you can, and there's different degrees you can do, and it can be as easy as just having a payment link. Yeah. I also asked him about things like, what do we need to know about fraud and compliance, local payments, so different regions of the world, yeah, accept different payments, and it's important to accept the currencies or whatever that your local customers want to use. Yeah, can we customize it? What are the common pitfalls of setting it up? And he actually went through how to set it up with us, which was really cool, very useful. Yeah.
Nice. We use Stripe here on Scrimba, and it's been detrimental to our payment systems. It's so important, and it's how we are able to basically have 100 different currencies on Scrimba. It's thanks to Stripe. We could never have done that with PayPal. So I'm really glad we managed to get a Stripe developer advocate on, not a PayPal developer advocate.
Yeah, no, he was really good. So there's the link in the chat. You can watch it back. Yeah, it's very interesting.
All right. And very interesting stuff as well, the Hacktoberfest.
Yeah. Sorry if I sound weird. I'm having some dental work done, so that's why I'm talking like Donald Duck. Yeah, Hacktoberfest is basically a chance to contribute to open source code. Yeah, and we decided at the last minute to get involved by allowing people to contribute to the repo of the weekly web dev challenge submissions page. Yeah, so if you don't know, we have a regular coding challenge which you get from this page, and then when you submit a solution, it gets put on here. And this is a site I've built along with Michael and Dave. He's a previous winner, actually. But we only have limited time, and there are lots of improvements we could do. So I have added the repo to Hacktoberfest, and what's going to happen is I've already put some issues here. I'm going to put some more, quite a lot more probably. And then if you're interested in doing one, you just leave a message like Axel already has, and then wait for me to say yay or nay. Well, probably yay if no one else has it. And then it will be assigned to you. and then you can work on it. And yeah,
That's awesome.
If your request gets approved, which it probably would, then it will count towards your Hacktoberfest kind of goals.
So just circling in a little bit on that, like Hacktoberfest, that's an initiative which is like global, and a ton of tech companies that basically open up their repos for new open source developers. Is that the thing with it, like the idea behind it?
Yeah, basically. Well, I think maybe they're always open source, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, if you commit, I think it's 4 per month. Michael can confirm in the chat. In the month of October, that is. So then you can either plant a tree or get a t-shirt. But they have to have the Hacktoberfest label on them, which these do. And all of the ones that I will raise here will also have. And there is this contributing MD kind of instructions, which will give you more information about it. So yeah, I'll put the link to that in here. And it's starting tomorrow, and it's going to run for the whole of October. So currently, all of the issues are actually taken already, but I'm going to be adding loads more tomorrow. And then if they get all taken, I'll just add more and more. Yeah, sky's the limit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So now then we are over, as far as I can see from our agenda, we are about to interview David. So to all of you who haven't been here before, this is something we do almost every community meeting. If we have someone who's succeeded lately and are able to come on the meeting and share their knowledge. And the thing is, I will ask David a bunch of questions. But what I really want all of you to do is, if there's something you want to ask Dave, if you feel that he might sit on some information which could help you in your career and help you land your first job, please raise your hand or ask the question in the chat, and then I will prioritize those questions. Because it's the only reason he's here is because is so that you all can learn from him. So please do that. Okay, David, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
So I'll just give a quick intro to you so that we have the context. You are 50 years old, currently live in St. Louis, Missouri, right?
Correct. Yes.
And this is your third career, isn't that right?
Yes, it is. Yes.
So what was the 2 first things you did before you became a developer?
I'll try to make it brief. So right out of high school, I went to a trade school, and it was like an electronics degree, and I started at a place building printers, and eventually it was a privately held company. Eventually became a field service technician and a technical help desk manager by the end. So it's one of those things where you can grow at the job. And but then around 30, I decided to go to college and ended up getting a 4-year degree and information management. And then I went and got a job doing something similar to what I did before, but it was a kind of programming, warehouse management systems, and basically all the things that get product in the door, put away, shipped, and updating the system. And then, so that was my second career. And about then the pandemic happened, and a lot of places were closed. I got furloughed. And so I just decided to use the time that I had to learn JavaScript and Python, web development in general. And I found Scrimba, and the rest is history.
Nice. And how did you decide that you wanted to code? Like, did you have any background or any knowledge beforehand?
Yes. Yeah. So back when I went to college, I went to a community college, and then I eventually went to a 4-year college. The 2-year associate degree was in programming. So, but it would have been something like Visual Basic 6, so something a little bit dated. But I always liked the scripting languages. And then when I was kind of looking for career possibilities, I went and looked at what's the most popular languages, and JavaScript it's been popular, and it's going to be popular. And like I've heard anyone said, like once you pick up this language, you'll be able to pick up other ones. So I find that to be true.
So how long was it since you had coded when you got started with the JavaScript?
Um, Actually, so the position I had was not like a developer position. It was more a functional analyst.
Yeah.
So I would just take,
So that's what I'm
um,
wondering. How
yeah.
far off was your code in the background? Like,
At least 10 years, so a big lapse in time. I did a little bit of, the most I had was SQL database type of programming. So, but mainly just querying data to see, find needles in haystacks, basically find out what's going wrong based upon this data set.
got it. Cool. So also then let's fast forward a little bit. You applied for a bunch of jobs, and then you got a job at a company, actually a local company in St. Louis, which helps build websites for various health related businesses, as far as I can understand.
Yes. Yeah. So that was the one thing that would be a strike against my job search was, if you're looking to relocate, you have much more possibilities than my current situation. Relocating is just not possible with family and other obligations here. I really don't see moving for the next 3 to 5 years. So I had to look for something local. So I was very fortunate, but I was looking for, with the pandemic still going on, there's a lot of jobs that are remote only. So that's another possibility. It's just, you had to just look and see what's available. But yeah, my first choice was to stay local. Second choice was to work remotely.
Cool.
Yep.
So, and how many jobs would you say you applied to?
I would say at least 50, bare minimum. I didn't share this before, but a friend of mine from my first job actually compared it to a sales job. Looking for a job is a job. And the way to kind of look at it is you have this big long pipe and you just keep stuffing in resumes and you keep doing applications and eventually something pops out the other end and that's a lead. But what I tell my wife every day is like, well, I'm just going to go feed the pipe, because you just got to keep putting in 3 to 5 applications a day. And eventually you do get calls and you keep working on those calls that you get, but then keep applying. You just don't know until you get that job offer. So just keep the applications going.
That's a great way of looking at it. I've heard many people say that you got it. It takes much more time than you would expect beforehand. So just treating it as a job is the way to go. It
does. And this might be a question you're going to have, but yeah, I would say, that'd be the frustrating part, is that it could take a potential employer a week just to respond to your application. That would be, to me, is usually the quickest you'll hear. Sometimes it's 2 weeks. Yeah. So you'll sometimes forget that you applied for the job before you get a response back. So I would just keep the applications going and respond to the inquiries that you get.
All right. So regarding that, keeping applying, we have a question from the chat here where Tyler asks, what site did you use to apply for jobs?
Okay, yeah, so that's a good question. I use definitely have a LinkedIn profile. That seems to be kind of one of those center of the universe, is everyone's going to look for your LinkedIn. But then I used LinkedIn, I used ZipRecruiter, which I would highly recommend. To me, that's my #1 job leads came from ZipRecruiter. I also used Indeed. There's Glassdoor, but those were the primaries.
So why is ZipRecruiter better than the others here?
This is just my experience, but what I was finding with LinkedIn was that seems like I was dealing more with like corporate, more of a HR, a person that seems like, they're just going to put out a big net and then they're going to go through and see whose resumes they liked. And that seemed to be the ones that would take a week or two, just in between each correspondence was taking a very, very long time. Everything I got from ZipRecruiter, I was getting a call back within a day or two, and either you're on the list or you're not. You were very quickly, the leads were just significantly better with ZipRecruiter from my experience than those from the other services.
Nice. So I'm sharing the ZipRecruiter website here. So you basically sign up and then you can get these alerts for jobs.
Yes. definitely do that. With each one of these, they'll even prompt you to set up an alert. And I would highly recommend that, because
Okay.
that's the moment you have those alerts, you can have it set up for basically the last search you had. So it could be web developer, junior web developer, remote, local, all those different things. And you'll get the replies, as a form of an email, or you just have the app on your phone. Pretty soon you're going to get them pretty quickly.
So you set up alerts then for junior web developers in St. Louis then?
Yeah, I did that one. And then I actually had another one for a functional analyst, just kind of, when my confidence wasn't super good in my web development design, by all means, what you want to do too is just start making a contact list of people you're talking to, even if it's not going to pan out that they're going to hire you. The more contacts you're having with people, the more you can see what's working with your resume, what's not working. You have more of that FaceTime or over the phone, just talking with someone. You get a feel for what questions they're going to ask, how to do your portfolio a little bit different. You just get that feedback if you're open to receiving it.
Nice. And regarding that, like resumes, for example, did you do anything in order to tweak your resume? It's a question from Mitch here in the chat.
Yes, I did. That's another big piece of advice I got early on was, there's a resume site that I want to say it was Dylan recommended. It's that Novo resume. I would highly recommend using something like this.
Yeah, this one
just
here.
because it's super quick to come up with. If you notice, like doing your first resume is going to take a while because you got to get all the information in. But everything you see on that resume is modular, and you can move it around from the left to the right, top to bottom. So you can change like everything about it. You can change it really quick, and it creates a PDF. That they do that in cover letters, which I highly recommend doing too. And
Okay,
what
so
you want to do is, for those jobs you really
one here.
want,
Yeah.
look through that job and see what they're asking for. And then you want to incorporate that in your, put that higher on your resume, and also put that on your cover letter, so that when the person's reading it, they're saying like, wow, they got the first skill I'm looking for, second skill for, they go through the list, like, I have to call this person, they have every skill I'm asking for. You are going to get responses back.
That's awesome. And this is actually how you got your this technique, using a combination of ZipRecruiter pings, Novo resume, and your portfolio as well.
Yeah. The other thing I would highly recommend is it's in that front end career path. Kevin Powell has, where you create your own portfolio site. Yeah. With portfolio projects. Cannot say how much it's been invaluable, to host your own website filled with your information and your portfolio projects. I think that got me interviews, hands down.
Nice. I just brought it up here. So this
is basically Kevin's template, and I changed the colors around a little bit. And then these projects here, all of them you can click on any one of them. It's going to take you to the page itself, which will give you a little bit more information about it, some of the screenshots. I got my code there. You can, and there's links to, if you can run the code or the live application.
Code here, yeah. So you have to get nice. And they actually looked at this and commented on your portfolio, your current employer, didn't they?
Yes, I would say that, like, with some of the places, and you're just going to get this, they're just going to want to test you. And that's just the way they filter out, they're going to get 100, 200, 300 resumes. So the first thing they're going to do is make you take a test. The place I'm currently working, they wanted to talk to me right away because I matched up so well with what they were looking for. And
not a coincidence, perhaps, since you had
precisely
cover letter.
And, the big thing they wanted to know is, did I code all this? And I can just be able to talk with confidence that, yes, this is all my stuff. And if you want to talk about a project, let's pull it apart. And just having it all there at the fingertips it's invaluable.
Brilliant. So can you tell us a little bit more about the interviews you had once you got your first foot in the door?
Yeah, so a lot of the interviews would be either a Zoom or probably 99 out of 100 was a phone call. And I think they're just making sure you're a live body, you're a real person. And, and a lot of times too, what was kind of counting against me a little bit is they're looking at my age and resume and thinking, okay, well, you should be a senior React developer. And, when can you start? It's like, do you have 5 to 7 years experience to do this? How many teams have you led? It's like, no, I'm changing careers. So a lot of it was just kind of getting that first, like filtering, go like, okay, now, well, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. And then, but then, a lot of times, I would say there would be a second interview. A lot of mine were telephone. But the place I'm currently working, I went from, I can't tell you how impressed I was. I went from, first phone call, second interview, third interview to hired in 2 weeks. It went that fast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And on those interviews, did you get any like coding questions or coding tests?
There were some. Oh yeah, there's a lot of that. And actually, I didn't put that. There's a website out there that I would highly recommend too, just to get familiar with that. And some of them use this particular place, if not questions like this. It's a HackerRank.io. Okay, yeah, it's
a big one.
Definitely spend some time out there. Just get familiar with how the questions are asked, what they're looking to get answered. They're very tricky, to be honest. Just because once you start going through it, what you'll realize is some of the questions aren't mentally difficult. You can think through what they want in 5 minutes easy. The difficult thing is saying, okay, what's my input? And then how do I need to change it, to, fulfill the requirements and then give it back to them. I would definitely practice there just to get familiar to taking input, doing your coding, and then spitting out. Because sometimes it's a console log because they want it to be like that. And other time it's a return statement from a function. And unless you kind of understand what they're looking for, that could trip you up. And those are going to be timed tests too. So there's that element of, okay, there's clock ticking and I'm having a hard time just getting the input right or getting the output right, where it's like, I know how to solve the problem. It's just trying to get it to work within their tool.
So how many hours would you say you practiced interview questions before you got this job?
Oh, I would say I'd probably practice every day, to be honest, between all the phone calls. But what I would do, I would really urge that you limit the number, the amount of time you're actually job seeking versus like working on your portfolio. I would treat it like a job, but then like every morning, you're going to get so many responses from the previous night and you're going to see, well, what's new on LinkedIn, what's new on ZipRecruiter, get all those out, do that for maybe 2-3 hours, and then start working on your portfolio projects to kind of cool down from, looking for a job can be stressful, and just to have a balance between, actually doing the job seeking versus, okay, I just want to start coding. This is what I want to do for a living. And, when I did that portfolio, when I first started looking, I probably had like 3 out there, but I was putting one out like every week or so, putting out a new project. So it'd be something, and it's something that you're at LinkedIn. There's a way to cross-reference, between your portfolio, LinkedIn, and it makes those like you're very active too between GitHub, LinkedIn. You're out there moving and shaking. You're just trying to get people to notice and get those callbacks.
Did they ask you anything about previous tech experience? Because a lot of people struggle with the fact that companies want developers with experience, but how are you going to get the experience when you can't get your first job? But you somehow managed to get through that.
Yeah, I gotta say that is very difficult. That is, I wish I had the answer for that. That is very difficult because it is a chicken and egg thing. I found that very frustrating, to be very honest, where like a lot of the jobs I was looking for, I would actually kid, it's like, they're looking for job requirements, 1 through 10, and you got 8 of them. You're a solid 8. I mean, you got JavaScript, you got JSON, you got, just go through the list. You're ticking off all the boxes. You got React and everything. And then they'll go like, oh, but do you have number 9? You're like, that's 9th on your list. I got everything else. That should be plenty to get hired. And they're just always, so I would just more focus on, do your work on the portfolio projects. And when you're coding it, make sure it's on GitHub. And when you're coding it too, code it like you're working for a job. Put comments in. have good indentation, have good design, so that when someone can come back and read it, they'll be like, wow, this looks like good code. You're kind of looking like you're stepping right into the job. And I actually, where I'm working right now, they're very happy, where I just been on the job like 1 month, and they're expecting to train people for, I don't know, a couple months. And it's like, I'm already contributing. I've already, like this morning, I already made a coding change for a customer. So it's like, I could do the CSS, I could do the HTML, I can read the JavaScript. If anything, it gets a little more complicated. Just be more flexible, because what you might have learned JavaScript wise, there's going to be jQuery, there's going to be all these other forms of the language out there. So you just kind of, relax a little bit, put some console logs in there, see what's going on, and then you'll get there.
Totally. And I think it is indeed a very hard problem, the catch-22 of getting experience without being able to get a job that gives you this experience. But I think you seem to have done very many, or a lot of the other things right. Like you did the cover, you personalized your cover letter, you applied for jobs, you personalized, you had a good portfolio, you adapted your resume. So you kind of stacked the cards in your favor, so that once you hit a job which actually were willing to look past the fact that you didn't have experience, you were there with all the other checkboxes filled.
That's right. And maybe some other things to look at too is like there's some places locally too. I mean, Scrimba's awesome. They gave me 90% of what I needed. The things that I didn't have was the actual, like a portfolio project. I mean, Kevin, he gives you the site. You just have to make it yours, and then you have to add projects to it. But going through that process, especially I mentioned it to you earlier, but that there's another website I would recommend. It's that frontendmentor.io.
Yep.
That's a great website. They got hundreds of portfolio projects. They start from beginner to guru. And you code it from scratch. I mean, you don't get any starter code. If anything, you get the images, you get the colors, you might get a PDF or something that shows this is what it should look like. But you have to do all the HTML, you got to do the JavaScript, you got to do all the CSS, and I would do it too. Do some things, have some fun with the projects too. Like do some in React, because some are going to be a natural React project. Do some with just straight up HTML. Do some with, have fun with the styling. Totally. You could do Sass, you can, do things that, and then you can put that on your resume. You say, okay, yeah, I got a couple of projects with Sass. I got some React. I got, pretty soon you got, what else, what am I missing here? It's like, you got a lot of the bases covered, and now you're just waiting for the right opportunity to come along.
Totally. And as you're saying, Kevin Powell and Frontend Mentor, which you're mentioning both there, we are actually launching a course with Kevin Powell doing a Frontend Mentor challenge on Scrimba.
Awesome.
Not too long. So that'll be super cool. So we're big fans of both of those.
Okay, great. I mean, yeah, I couldn't, if you told me to build a portfolio site, I'd be like, okay, blank stare. I don't know what to do. But the moment you say, okay, well, pick something. I would pick things personally. I like the things that are very colorful, because if you go to LinkedIn, you can actually do, or it's actually on your GitHub project. You can put something for what the media should look like when someone links to it, and you got these bright, good-looking pages. I mean, it's hard to when you look through a LinkedIn page, it's a bunch of white and some text. All of a sudden, you see these beautiful images. You're like, oh, I might click on that, and then you're starting to reel them in. You got them on your website. You got them either on your website. You got them on GitHub, and then you get to put things on your GitHub page too, like, hey, push your projects that you want to be seen towards the top. You can say, oh, these are my 10 that I want you to look at. So.
It definitely doesn't sound like it's a coincidence that you actually managed to get this job. You've thought things through and done many of the right things. And
the intangible, it'd be confidence. That's going to be hard, so just have confidence, 30 seconds of bravery, whatever it takes, just, you can do it.
For sure. That's so important. One thing I also want to touch upon, which you said, is the importance of speed, because you were actually really fast once you saw an opportunity.
Yes, I would. So with this current that's where you have those alerts set up. I would, if there's going to be jobs where you're going to get a feel for it once you start applying to some. You're just going to get a feel for like, well, this is kind of a long shot. So you could just reply. But there's going to be others you're like, this is me. You're reading yourself in this. Well, I would take the time, have your Novo resume ready to go. Have that actually as a PDF so that it's on your phone. You can easily respond just with a PDF. But if they ask for a cover letter, I would have a cover letter. It's at least been in my experience that if there's a spot for that, I would add it. But then take that time, reply as quick as you can, even if it's the middle of the night. That's actually where my current job came from. It came across at 7:00 at night. Normally I get up early. I get up super early. So around 7, I'm looking to veg out, but I saw it. I had to respond. So I responded. I'm telling you, I had to call back the next morning. So It was that quick. And then, first interview was like 2 days later. Second interview was 2 days later. Third interview was, the following Monday. I was hired on a Thursday. So
amazing.
Yeah.
I pity the person who thought, I'll just wait 3 days and then I'll apply for that on Wednesday. When you were like, boom, on it.
You gotta, I would actually recommend to, with the front end mentor, pay a couple bucks to get the pro, but in LinkedIn too, I did do the the gold, the premium is, and you do get to see who's looking at your profile. And I'm not sure if you get to see, but you get to see how many people apply for a job. And their demographics. Some of these jobs, they got hundreds of applicants, and there's some that are 50, but if you're one of 50, that's still a lot to be one of, or one of 500 is just insane. But yes, I would definitely don't sleep on the ones that you think you really want. And in general, I really wouldn't be waiting more than a day before you're applying.
That's great advice. And yeah, with that, I think we will wrap it up.
Okay.
This was fantastic and very inspiring. I'm happy that you've finally found success in the coding world.
Well, and I'm really, I can't, it's a pleasure of mine to do this. I cannot thank the people at Scrimbo enough. You guys were a big help. I did some prior to this. I did some of the other ones, and it's just like, it didn't quite click. And you guys, you're the difference. So you should pat yourselves on the back too.
Awesome. Thank you. That's very nice to hear.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anytime.
Hi.
See ya.
Cheers. And thank you everyone who came. I hope to see you here next Thursday.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.